paper, I called it the broken record and the better way, and the reason for that is because we had a very similar paper in 2011 at the convention there, for those of you who attended that convention. We're still saying the same things, if anything, the conversation has become more pronounced because of the last budget that the provincial government just brought down, which contained a significant deficit and also significant cuts to public services. The reason for that is because we do not collect enough revenue, in particular on the royalties side, but also on corporate taxes and personal income tax. Now, this paper can provide you with what I like to call backyard barbecue arguments. When you, this summer, are engaged in conversation with your neighbors or your family members who are talking about, why is it that we've had to cut K-12? Why is it that my kid doesn't have a special assistant or teaching assistant anymore when they used to? Or why is it that the University of Alberta is now having to talk about shuttering the entire Faculty of Arts because of cutbacks to the university sector? In here, you'll find the answers to that question. Our corporate taxes are the lowest in the country. If we were to raise them to simply the national average, we would be looking at over $1 billion of new revenue. The flat tax that was brought in 2001 gave our highest income brackets a 24% tax cut every year since then, but not for ordinary middle income people. And you will actually find in this paper a gentleman who sent in, when we started talking about this again over during the budget, his taxes. And for middle-income people, we don't have the lowest taxes in the country, and we in fact have many of the highest user fees. And so the middle class in Alberta is, I would argue, crunched under the weight of user fees and certainly under wage stagnation. And the other component of this is, of course, royalties. We do not collect an appropriate royalty for either our oil sands bitumen or our conventional oil and gas reserves. So there is a considerable amount of detail in this paper about what happened with the last budget and the so-called bitumen bubble, and allows you to kind of untangle some of that spin that was visited upon us during the last, in this last budget cycle, in trying to deflect from the actual conversation that we need to be having, which is that there are two sides of every budget ledger. We all know this. There's what you bring in, and there's what that goes out. The playbook of conservative governments everywhere is to cut your revenues so you then have an excuse to cut public services on the other side. Now, one more piece of information that is in this paper that I think is really important for us as a labor movement. We heard this morning about, sort of 25 years of vilifying us in the public domain, right? Trying to weave a particular narrative about what unions are about and what we're, and casting us as self-interested and so on. I think along with that, we've had an attempt at 25 years of inoculation on the topic of taxes, that in fact it's considered taboo to even talk about them. They're considered something of a third rail in politics, and I think what we need is the courage of our convictions that we are in fact on the side of Albertans and Canadians when we talk about revenue reform. Again, I'll just cast your minds to what's going on in BC right now. We have an NDP party that is about to become government. They have, it's not a bad thing, we'll see. But they have costed their entire platform on 4 tax increases. And it is one of the most popular parts of their platform. On very high income earners, the general corporate rate, tax on financial institution, and a tax on banks. It is the linchpin of their fiscal plan, but it is also extremely popular. About 85% of British Columbians agree with it. It's astounding. And so you can all say, oh, okay, well, that's BC and it's different here. Actually, no. Page 2 of the policy paper shows some of the polling that we did at the Federation. 73% of Albertans say there's no need for the government to cut. 71% believe that Albertans are not getting their fair share of royalty revenue from our oil resources. 77% support increasing taxes for the wealthy and corporations. 72% agree with returning to progressive income tax, and so on. And so I draw your attention to that to embolden all of you as we move into the backyard barbecue season. And there's many other little factoids in there too, where you can have that conversation. And you will find, I think, if my political instincts are right, and if this polling is right, that the majority of the people that you talk to will agree with you.